Rain patters on a cabin roof. A clock ticks in the dark. Then, without warning, pure white light pours through the thin curtains, bright as noon, and the entire world holds its breath. Welcome to tonight's story, the Tujunga Canyon Incident, March 1953. Picture a small wooden cabin tucked deep into Big Tujunga Canyon, in the foothills above Los Angeles. Two women are asleep in separate beds, the kind of deep sleep that only comes after a long day of work and a long drive into the mountains for some peace and quiet. Outside, the canyon is almost silent, no traffic, no city hum, just the wind in the pines and the slow, steady rush of a distant creek. Then it happens. The cabin explodes with light, not a flashlight, not headlights. This is a light that has weight, a light that feels like it presses against your skin. The air hums, a low, steady thrum, like something enormous is hovering only a few feet above the roof. One of the women bolts upright, frozen between waking and dreaming. Her body refuses to move, her chest fights for air. Beside her, the other woman doesn't wake at all. The clock on the nightstand reads a little after a.m. She tries to call her friend's name, but her voice is trapped somewhere between thought and sound. A shape moves past the window, impossibly tall and thin, like a shadow stretched too far. The door never opens, the glass never breaks, yet something or someone seems to be inside the room. And then, nothing. The light snaps off, the hum drains away, like someone turning down the volume on the entire night. She collapses back onto the bed, eyes open, heart hammering against her ribs. When she finally blinks, when she finally reaches for the clock again, it's nearly dawn. Hours have passed. Now imagine you're that woman, standing in the gray light of early morning. The cabin looks the same. The door is still locked from the inside. Your friend wakes up groggy, as if she's slept too long, and you ask her, "Did you see that light? Did you hear anything?" She frowns. She remembers a sound, maybe a buzzing, a sense that someone was standing over her bed. But every time she reaches for the details, they slip away like fog. You both step outside. The canyon feels wrong, too quiet. The birds are late in their morning chorus. The air smells metallic, sharp like an overheating motor. Over the trees, the sky is a clear blue, but there's a lingering feeling that something enormous has just left, like the fading wake of a passing ship. Back inside, you start to talk about the night. Little pieces fall out, a narrow corridor. A curved wall that seemed to glow by itself. Tall figures standing in a circle around a table. Neither of you remembers walking there. Neither of you remembers leaving. But both of you feel the same thing. Those missing hours didn't just vanish. You lived them. You just can't bring them back. Days later, the story leaks into the canyon the way stories always do. A neighbor hears you talk about that strange light. A clerk in town picks up a fragment. Something hovered over the cabin. Pretty soon you're hearing other stories. A truck driver who swears a glowing oval paced his vehicle along the winding canyon road a few nights earlier. A hunter who heard a deep, mechanical hum echo off the rocks, but saw nothing in the sky. A local deputy who dismisses it as nerves and imagination, but whose eyes linger just a bit too long on the road that leads up toward your cabin. You try to go back to normal life, but normal doesn't fit anymore. Every time you close your eyes, you see that light again, feel your body frozen in place. Your friend starts waking up at exactly 2 o'clock a.m., night after night, heart pounding, certain that something is about to return. You both begin to ask a question you can't say out loud. If something did happen in those missing hours, what did it want with you? Weeks turn in 2 months, and the story refuses to die. A few curious investigators knock on your door. They call what happened to you an encounter. Some suggest hypnosis, hoping to recover those lost hours. Others talk about strange patterns of sightings in the area, as if the canyon is a crossroads for things that don't belong in our skies. You sit under that same roof, in that same small cabin, and try to remember. Bits and pieces return in flashes, lying on a cold, curved surface, with light coming from nowhere. Tall, thin figures moving with slow, deliberate purpose, their faces blurred in your memory. A sense of being watched not with hostility, but with a clinical curiosity that feels almost worse. Your friend remembers being left alone in darkness, hearing your voice somewhere far away and not being able to reach you. She remembers something touching her arm, then her thoughts filling with an overwhelming calm, like someone turning down her fear. When you wake from each session, your cheeks are wet, your hands shake. The investigators take notes. They use words like patterns and corroboration. None of those words make it easier to sleep. The world outside goes on: cars on the freeway, movies in the city, headlines about rockets and nuclear tests, but inside your head, you're still in that light, still locked inside those missing hours. So here you are, in your own dark room, listening to this story. Think about the last time you woke up and couldn't remember your dream, but you felt it was important. Now imagine that feeling stretched over hours of your life, hours where you might have been awake, talking, moving, even terrified, and all you have left is an impression. A shadow, a scar of pure light in your memory. The Tujunga Canyon Incident isn't just a UFO story. It's a story about what happens when two ordinary people are confronted with something they can't explain, in a place that was supposed to be a safe retreat from the world. Maybe it was a shared hallucination. Maybe it was an experimental aircraft that never made the news. Maybe it was something else entirely, something that looked down at a quiet cabin in the canyon in March 1953 and decided, for reasons we still don't understand, to reach in and rearrange two lives. As you lie in your bed tonight and the house settles, as the hum of distant traffic fades and the sky outside your window turns black, remember that cabin in the canyon. Remember that heavy, impossible light at 2 a.m. and ask yourself, just for a moment, if something came for you in the middle of the night, how would you ever be sure it hasn't already been here? Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.